It's a warm night in Nairobi, the city lights glowing like scattered stars. On a rooftop lounge filled with laughter and soft music, two sisters sit across from each other, Ayanda and Naledi. The air smells of grilled food and perfume, the kind of night that feels like a celebration. Ayanda can't stop smiling. She just got promoted at work, the youngest manager in her company. Friends and co-workers have been congratulating her all evening. Sitting across from her, Naledi forces a smile, but her eyes tell a different story. She's proud, maybe, but underneath that there's something darker, jealousy. This was the job she once dreamed of, the one she thought she'd get before Ayanda ever did. Cheers to you, little sister, Naledi says sweetly, raising her glass. You really deserve this. Ayanda laughs, a bit shy. Thanks, Nail. I couldn't have done it without your advice. As Ayanda turns her head to look at the view, the twinkling lights of Nairobi below them, Naledi's hand moves. Smooth, quiet, practiced. Something small slips from her fingers into Ayanda's glass. She stirs it lightly with her straw, her smile never fading. But what Naledi doesn't know is that Ayanda saw everything, not directly, but in the reflection of the glass window beside them. Her heart skips a beat. She doesn't say a word. She just sits there, smiling faintly, the music still playing as if nothing happened. The night has just begun, but something dangerous has already started. Ayanda's heart pounds so hard, she can almost hear it over the music. Her face stays calm, but her mind races. Did her own sister really just try to poison her? The thought feels unreal, like a nightmare she can't wake up from. She takes a slow breath and forces a smile, pretending she didn't notice anything. Hold on, she says lightly, picking up her phone. The view is too beautiful not to take a photo. Naledi laughs, her voice smooth and easy. You and your pictures, she teases, sipping from her straw. Ayanda stands, pretending to find the best angle. Her hands are trembling slightly, but she keeps her movements steady. The city below glows in gold and white, and in that reflection again, she sees Naledi scrolling through her phone, not paying attention. That's when Ayanda moves. Quick but quiet, she switches the glasses, hers and Naledi's, sliding them back in place just as Naledi looks up. Got the perfect shot, Ayanda says, her smile steady though her palms are slick with sweat. Naledi grins, completely unaware. Good. Now come back and toast properly. She lifts her glass, the one she had prepared, and raises it toward Ayanda. Their glasses clink, and Ayanda forces herself to take a tiny sip from the untouched drink now in front of her. Naledi takes a big gulp, laughing. You've really grown up, Ayanda, she says warmly. I used to think you were too soft for the world. Ayanda meets her gaze, eyes calm but cold inside. Maybe I was, she says softly. Naledi keeps talking, joking about their childhood, but Ayanda barely hears her. Her mind is spinning. Every word Naledi says feels like a knife covered in sugar. She watches her sister laugh, clueless about what she's just done. A part of Ayanda feels sick, not just from fear, but from the heartbreak of realizing how deep Naledi's jealousy runs. Minutes pass. The music swells. Around them, people are dancing, drinking, and taking photos. But between the two sisters, the air feels heavy charged. Ayanda keeps smiling, nodding at her sister's words, but inside she's whispering to herself. You wanted to hurt me, but now the truth will hurt you. She doesn't know what will happen next. She doesn't know how bad it will get. But one thing is certain. This moment, this switch, has changed everything. The balance between them has shifted, and Ayanda, once the gentle one, now holds all the power. Naledi laughs again, raising her empty glass. To us, she says, her voice bright. Ayanda nods slowly, eyes steady. To us, she repeats, though in her heart, she knows that nothing will ever be the same again. 15 minutes pass, and the night feels different now. The laughter around their table still floats in the air, but Ayanda can feel something changing. Naledi's voice starts to fade a little, her words slurring. At first, Ayanda thinks she might be imagining it. Maybe it's the drinks, maybe it's guilt creeping in. But then Naledi's hand trembles as she reaches for her phone. Beads of sweat form on her forehead. You okay? Ayanda asks softly, her tone perfectly calm. Naledi blinks a few times, confused. It's hot, right? So hot, she mumbles, rubbing her temples. Her pupils look strangely wide, her breathing uneven. She tries to laugh it off, but can't finish her sentence. Her chair scrapes loudly as she shifts, clutching her head. The people at the nearby tables glance over but quickly look away, assuming she's just drunk. Nairobi nightlife is full of scenes like this. Someone having a little too much fun. But Ayanda knows the truth, and that knowledge makes her chest tighten. She didn't mean for this to happen, not like this. Her hands shake under the table, but her face stays composed. She reaches out as if to help Naledi and whispers, Stay with me, Nick. Inside, her heart is pounding, part fear, part shock. She hadn't expected the drug to work this fast. Naledi mumbles something no one can understand, then her body goes limp. The glass she was holding tips over, spilling the drink across the table. Help, Please. Ayanda shouts, standing up so suddenly her chair falls back. Her voice trembles, but she sounds like a scared sister. A waiter rushes over, followed by a couple of concerned guests. She's not breathing right, Ayanda says quickly, kneeling beside her sister. In the chaos, the shuffling feet, the voices calling for water, the sound of someone dialing emergency, Ayanda slips the small empty packet she had seen Naledi use earlier under her sister's purse. The movement is smooth, hidden behind her trembling hand. Please, my sister's not feeling well, she calls out again, her voice cracking just enough to sound real. People clear space as the waiter brings water and someone fans Naledi with a napkin. A few minutes later, Ayanda is on the phone with an ambulance, her tone urgent but steady. Yes, she's still breathing, but she's not responding. Please hurry, she says, tears gathering in her eyes, not all of them fake. When the paramedics finally arrive, Ayanda steps back, watching them lift Naledi onto the stretcher. The flashing red lights from the ambulance reflect in her glass, the same window where she first saw the betrayal. As the siren fades into the distance, Ayanda stands alone on the rooftop, her heart heavy. She whispers to herself, barely audible, "What comes around goes around." The night ends at Kenyatta Hospital, the air cold and smelling faintly of disinfectant. Ayanda sits in the waiting area, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Her dress is wrinkled, her lipstick smudged, and her eyes look tired but sharp. Around her, nurses hurry past, voices echoing in the bright, sterile hallway. She can still hear the ambulance siren ringing in her ears, even though it's long gone. Naledi is inside one of the emergency rooms. The last time Ayanda saw her, she was pale and shaking, drifting in and out of consciousness. Despite everything, a part of her still feels a sting of guilt. She never wanted to see her sister like this, just to make her see the truth. After what feels like forever, a doctor walks out, pulling down his mask. "She's stable," he says, his voice calm. "Whatever she took wasn't fatal, just a strong sedative. She should be fine once it wears off." Ayanda nods, her chest rising with a small breath of relief. "Can I see her?" she asks quietly. "Not yet," the doctor replies, "but the police will want to talk to you soon." The restaurant sent over their security footage. Ayanda freezes for a second. "Footage?" "Yes," the doctor says. Something about a drink being switched. Minutes later, a detective in a dark suit walks in, holding a small notebook. He looks serious but not unfriendly. "Ayanda Mathoni?" he asks. She nods. "That's me." He sits across from her. "We've reviewed the footage from the rooftop lounge. It's interesting. It shows two women switching glasses, but the camera angle isn't clear. Hard to tell who switched what. You and your sister look similar, even the same hairstyle. Do you want to tell me what happened?" Ayanda takes a slow breath. Her voice doesn't shake. "Detective, I didn't do anything wrong. But I think you'll find something in her bag." The detective frowns slightly. "Her bag?" "Yes," Ayanda says quietly, looking down. "She had a small packet. I think that's what made her sick." He signals to a nearby officer, who returns a few minutes later holding Naledi's purse. They open it on the small table, pulling out her phone, lipstick, a mirror, and a folded piece of silver foil, crumpled and faintly powdery. The detective holds it up carefully. "This what you meant?" Ayanda just nods. "That's it." He turns to the nurse. "We'll have the lab test it." Through the small window, Ayanda can see Naledi lying on the hospital bed, eyes half open, staring at the ceiling. The nurse says she's awake but weak. The detective walks in to speak with her, holding the packet in a gloved hand. Naledi's lips move, but no sound comes out. Her face says everything, shock, guilt, and shame all mixing together. Ayanda watches from the doorway, her heart calm now. For the first time, Naledi can't hide behind words. Her silence tells the truth louder than anything she could ever say. The house feels heavier than usual that evening. The air is thick with tension, like everyone can feel that something ugly is about to come out. Mama Zuri has gathered the family in the living room. Ayanda, Naledi, and a few close relatives who heard pieces of the story. The TV is off, the curtains are drawn, and the only sound is the ticking clock on the wall. Mama Zuri stands by the table, her face hard and unreadable. She's always been the calm, patient mother who could handle anything, but tonight her hands are trembling. "Naledi," she begins slowly, her voice sharp. "Why would your sister end up in the hospital because of you?" Naledi looks down at her hands, twisting her fingers together. "Mama, it's not what it looks like," she says quietly, her voice weak. "Then tell me what it is." Mama Zuri snaps, her tone rising. "The police found something in your bag. The same thing that made you sick. Do you think I'm stupid?" Naledi's eyes fill with tears, but she still shakes her head. "I didn't mean," she starts, but the words die in her throat. Ayanda sits quietly on the other side of the room. Her face looks calm, but her eyes are red from crying. She hasn't said much since they got home. When Mama Zuri turns to her, she finally speaks. Her voice is soft but cracks in the middle. "I didn't want to believe she'd do it, Mom. But she tried to. I saw her. I saw everything. The room falls silent. No one moves. The weight of Ayanda's words hangs in the air like a storm about to break. Naledi's tears spill over as she stares at her younger sister, her mouth open but no words coming out. Mama Zuri's chest rises and falls. She looks between her daughters, one trembling, the other sitting quietly, hurt but strong. Then she slams her hand on the table, making everyone jump. This house raised 2 daughters, not a snake, she says coldly. Naledi flinches as if she's been slapped. Her tears fall harder now. Mama, I felt like no one saw me anymore, she cries. You always said Ayanda was the strong one, the smart one. I was just there. Mama Zuri closes her eyes, shaking her head. So you decided to destroy your own sister's life? Out of jealousy. Ayanda wipes a tear from her cheek, but says nothing. For once, she doesn't need to defend herself. The truth is already out. The silence that follows is painful. It's the kind that carries years of unspoken feelings. Jealousy, comparison, love twisted by pride. Mama Zuri finally sits down, her voice breaking. I don't even know who you are anymore, Naledi, she whispers. Naledi hides her face in her hands, sobbing quietly. Ayanda just sits there, still and calm, realizing that no matter what happens next, their family will never be the same again. In the weeks that follow, everything changes. The story spreads faster than anyone expects. Nairobi's gossip circles move quick, and soon everyone knows about what happened between the Muthoni sisters. People whisper about how Naledi ended up in the hospital after something went wrong at a rooftop party. The police investigation only makes it worse. Even though no charges are filed, the rumors stick like glue. At her office, Naledi can feel the stares. Co-workers who used to laugh with her now keep their distance. Meetings grow awkward. Conversations stop when she walks into the room. A few days later, she gets the email. Her contract has been terminated due to professional misconduct. Just like that, her career crumbles. The woman who once walked with her head high now avoids her own reflection. Her phone goes quiet too. Friends stop calling. Her social media fills with silence. No likes, no comments, no messages. Everyone loves drama until they realize they could be next to it. Naledi spends most days in her apartment, scrolling through old photos of her and Ayanda, remembering when things were still simple. Ayanda, on the other hand, moves differently now. She still shows up to work early, still treats everyone with respect. She doesn't brag, doesn't tell her side of the story. She lets people think what they want. Her calmness makes her stronger. It's not revenge she wants anymore, it's peace. But one evening, Naledi shows up at her door, eyes red and tired. She looks smaller somehow, like life has worn her down. You should have just told me you saw me, she says softly. You didn't have to humiliate me like this. Ayanda looks at her for a long moment, her face unreadable. Would you have stopped? She asks quietly. Naledi opens her mouth but doesn't answer. She knows the truth. No, she wouldn't have stopped. The silence that follows feels final. Naledi wipes her tears and turns to leave. Ayanda watches her sister walk away, feeling both sad and relieved. There's no satisfaction in this kind of justice, just a heavy understanding of what's been lost. After the door closes, Ayanda stands still for a moment. She could cry, but she doesn't. She just exhales slowly and goes back to her desk, where her laptop screen glows softly. There's work to do, a life to live, and she's finally learning to put herself first. Naledi fades quietly from her world after that. No more calls, no more texts, just silence between 2 sisters who once shared everything. Ayanda doesn't chase it. Some bonds don't break in anger, they just dissolve in truth. It's late at night when Ayanda hears the knock on her door. She's just finished dinner and is cleaning up when it comes, soft, hesitant, like someone unsure if they should be there. When she opens the door, Naledi is standing outside. She looks nothing like the sister Ayanda remembers. Her hair is messy, her eyes red and swollen, and her shoulders slump like she's carrying the weight of the world. Ayanda, she whispers, her voice cracking. Please, can I come in? For a moment, Ayanda hesitates. The last time they spoke, the air between them was thick with pain and silence. But she steps aside anyway. Come in, she says quietly. Naledi walks in slowly, glancing around the apartment like she doesn't belong there. She sits on the couch, her hands trembling in her lap. For a long moment, neither of them speaks. The only sound is the hum of the fridge and the faint noise of cars outside. Then Naledi breaks. Tears start to pour as she buries her face in her hand. I'm so sorry, she says through sobs. I don't even know what I was thinking. I was just angry. I couldn't stand it anymore. Ayanda sits across from her, calm and silent. She doesn't rush to comfort her. She just listens. Naledi keeps talking, her voice shaking. You've always been the one Mama talked about, the one everyone compared me to. I worked so hard, but it was never enough. When you got that job, I felt like I disappeared. I thought if I scared you a little, made you mess up, people would finally stop looking at you like you're perfect. She wipes her face, her mascara streaked. I just wanted to teach you a lesson. I didn't mean for it to go that far. Ayanda looks at her, eyes soft but firm. You almost taught yourself one, she says quietly. Then she stands and walks to the kitchen, filling a glass with water. When she returns, she hands it to Naledi, this time safe, clear, and pure. Naledi takes it slowly, her hands still shaking. When she drinks, tears fall again, but this time from relief. She looks up at her sister, seeing something new. Not fear, not pride, but strength wrapped in calmness. I don't deserve your kindness, Naledi whispers. Ayanda shakes her head. It's not about what you deserve. It's about what I can live with. For a long time, they sit there in silence. No yelling, no anger, just two sisters who finally understand how far things went wrong. Naledi sees the woman Ayanda has become, steady, forgiving, but no longer naive. When she finally stands to leave, Naledi hugs her tightly. I'm sorry, she says again. Ayanda nods, her voice soft. I know. And for the first time, it feels like the past has loosened its grip, even if the scars will always remain. The months that follow are hard on everyone, but especially on Naledi. Her life slowly falls apart piece by piece. After losing her job, she struggles to find another one. Word about what happened has spread quietly but deeply. No one wants to work with someone who's been involved in a scandal. Her friends have drifted away. Even simple things like getting out of bed or cooking a meal start feeling impossible. Her apartment grows messy and dim, curtains always drawn. Days blur together. She stops answering calls, stops checking messages. The confident, proud woman she used to be is gone, replaced by someone fragile and lost. Ayanda knows all this, even though she tries not to think about it too much. Despite everything Naledi did, she still feels a pull, that invisible bond between sisters that never truly breaks. Some evenings, she picks up groceries or makes extra food and takes it over to Naledi's place. She knocks gently, and when Naledi finally opens the door, she can barely recognize her. You need to eat something, Ayanda says softly, setting down the food. Naledi doesn't say much. She just nods and whispers, thank you, her eyes red from crying. The silence between them is heavy, but Ayanda stays for a few minutes, making sure her sister takes her medicine before leaving. At home, Mama Zuri can't stop worrying. She prays for both her daughters every night. One evening, she sits Ayanda down and says, My child, don't let hatred live in your heart. Hatred eats the heart before it touches the one who hurt you. Ayanda looks at her mother quietly, her expression calm but tired. I don't hate her, Mama, she says softly. I just finally see who she is. Mama Zuri sighs, reaching for her daughter's hand. Seeing someone's flaws doesn't mean you stop loving them, she says gently. Ayanda nods, but she doesn't reply. Inside, she's torn. A part of her aches for the sister she grew up with, the one who used to braid her hair and walk her to school. But another part still remembers the glass on that rooftop, the reflection in the window, and the cold betrayal that changed everything. Sometimes, late at night, Ayanda catches herself thinking about Naledi and wondering if forgiveness is even possible. She feels empathy, yes, but it's mixed with exhaustion, fear, and the quiet realization that love doesn't always heal everything. Naledi keeps sinking, trapped in guilt and loneliness. And Ayanda, though stronger than before, carries her own invisible weight, the pain of watching someone you once loved become a stranger. It's not hate that separates them now. It's the truth. And sometimes, Ayanda thinks, the truth can be even heavier than anger. Months pass, and life slowly starts to settle again, at least for Ayanda. She's been working harder than ever, pouring her focus into her career. Her dedication pays off when she's promoted once more, this time as a team lead. It's a big deal, a position she's dreamed about for years. But this time, she doesn't celebrate with champagne or a big dinner. She just smiles to herself and thanks God quietly. A few weeks later, she's invited to speak at a women's leadership conference in Nairobi. The theme is resilience in the workplace, and the organizers tell her they want her to share her story, how she overcame challenges, pressure, and betrayal. She hesitates at first, not sure if she wants to open old wounds, but eventually she agrees. The day of the conference arrives. The hall is packed with women from all walks of life, students, managers, entrepreneurs. Bright lights shine on the stage as Ayanda steps up to the microphone. She's dressed in a simple, elegant suit, her hair pulled back neatly. Her confidence is quiet but powerful. She talks about growth, about failure, about standing tall when life feels unfair. She doesn't mention names or the full story, but her words carry weight. Sometimes, she says, her voice calm, strength doesn't come from fighting back. It comes from choosing peace, even when peace feels impossible. The audience listens closely, some nodding, others wiping away tears. When she finishes, the crowd bursts into applause. Cameras flash, people stand to clap, and as she scans the room, her eyes freeze for a moment. At the back of the hall, Half hidden among the chairs sits Nality. She looks different, thinner, quieter, almost shy. But she's there, clapping softly, her eyes filled with something Ayanda hasn't seen in a long time: pride. Their eyes meet across the room, and for a second, time seems to stop. After the event, as people crowd around Ayanda to congratulate her, Nality waits patiently at the back. When the room starts to empty, she walks up slowly. "You were amazing," she says quietly. "I'm proud of you." Ayanda looks at her sister, studying her face, the humility, the regret, the small smile. For the first time, Nality's words sound real. Ayanda smiles gently. "Took you long enough," she says. Nality laughs softly, a sound that carries both sadness and relief. There's no dramatic hug, no tears, just a moment of peace between them. Not forgiveness, not completely, but something lighter, something that feels like the end of a long storm. As Ayanda leaves the hall that evening, the sun sets behind the city skyline. She walks to her car with her head high, knowing she's finally free. Not because her sister changed, but because she finally did. It's not forgiveness she's found. It's closure. The sun is setting over Nairobi, painting the city in gold and soft orange light. From her apartment balcony, Ayanda sits quietly with a cup of tea in her hand. The city hums below, cars, laughter, distant music. But up here, it's peaceful. The air is warm, and for the first time in a long time, her heart feels still. She takes a slow sip, watching the sky fade into dusk. Her thoughts wander, not with pain anymore, but reflection. Her voice plays softly in her mind, steady and calm. Some betrayals don't come from enemies, they come from blood. But sometimes karma doesn't need your help. It just waits for the right moment. On the small table beside her sits a clear plastic bag. Inside it is the tiny empty packet, the same one she slipped under Nality's purse that night. She kept it all this time, not out of hate, but as a reminder of what she survived. Every time she looked at it, she remembered how close she came to losing herself, not just her life. Now she picks it up slowly, turning it over in her fingers. The sunlight catches the plastic, making it glimmer for a moment before she exhales and stands. Without hesitation, she drops it into the trash bin beside her. "I'm done being the victim," she whispers. The words feel final, not bitter, just free. She leans on the balcony rail, the wind brushing against her face, and lets herself smile. Not the polite smile she gives at work or the forced one she wore through pain, but a real one, quiet, strong, and peaceful. The camera lingers on her face as the city lights flicker to life below. Then the screen fades to black. Ayanda is finally free.